All right, Giants Nation, unless you've been living under a rock, you know that the first round of the NFL draft was yesterday. And there were a lot of surprises. There were a lot of trades that happened. Travis Hunter ended up going to the Jaguars after the Browns traded out. A lot of people were thinking that maybe the Browns take Travis Hunter and we obviously would take Carter. I think at a certain point in the day, you kind of knew that the pick was going to be Carter. And you probably knew from last week, to be honest. That's when I started hearing about it. It could have been happening long before that, but I'm fine with pick number 3 being Carter. I'm actually not upset that Jaxson Dart is the pick at the number 25 spot after trading with the Texans, but a part of me was just like, okay, cool. We traded up, which I knew we would. I just didn't know where. But apparently we had to get in front of the Rams to secure the pick. And I said to myself, like, most people who had their list of quarterbacks had Jaxson Dart number 3. Some people had him number 2. Some people had him 1. But I'm talking about the people who actually study quarterbacks literally had him at QB3. And I said to myself, like, cool. I don't really know if I truly believe that the Rams were going to draft him. A lot of people are saying that they were because they traded back after we drafted him. So that there's always that possibility. But my thing is, you can get upset about Jaxson Dart being the pick. But realistically, if the coach and the GM, if that's their guy, then that's their guy. That's who they're going to go with. So if you need to trade up to get him, despite the fact that I didn't like it, that's what you got to do. You don't trade up. And you get stuck with a quarterback that you might not like. It sounds like they didn't like Jalen and they didn't like Sanders. Honestly, the reports might be true about Sanders. A lot of people were saying that his interviews didn't go well and how they didn't like Sanders. And then now it's looking like that's probably what happened there, is that they don't like Shador Sanders. I don't know if it's the confidence. Some people say he's arrogant or cocky. It depends on how you portray yourself, how people will view you, right? Some people probably look at him and say he's arrogant, but then look at Jaxson Dart, who's also confident, and say, oh, he's just a confident kid. So it all depends on how they view you as a person and a player. So it looks like they don't really like Sanders like that. I'm assuming he gets drafted today in the second round to either the Browns or the Raiders, although the Raiders already have Geno Smith. Geno Smith's up there in age. I mean, he's like, 34? You just never know. I don't know where he's going to go. But I think the Steelers also need a quarterback. But yeah, if you're getting Sanders in the second or third round, that's going to be considered a steal, considering he was the number 2 rated quarterback in the draft. Now, I'm not going to crap on Jaxson Dart, even though I'm not really high on Jaxson Dart. And it's not because I don't think Jaxson Dart is good. I just don't really see the hype. A lot of y'all are really hype about Jaxson Dart. And I said to myself, like, all these quarterbacks, even the ones that are behind Jalen, they all have highlights. They all, like Kyle McCord has highlights. So, the Jaxson Dart highlights don't really do it for me. He's made some good throws in his highlights. And, a lot of people don't really talk about his lowlights because you don't want to talk about his lowlights if you want him as your quarterback. A lot of former Daniel Jones fans have aligned themselves with Jaxson Dart. I want to say the greater majority of Jaxson Dart fans were originally Daniel Jones fans. So they've already aligned themselves to Jaxson Dart. For me, I don't like Jaxson Dart, but I don't hate Jaxson Dart. I wouldn't consider myself a Jaxson Dart fan right now. He would basically have to win me over. Like, I'm not really going to be watching his highlights saying, yeah, this is the quarterback of the future. I don't know yet. I mean, I'm just going to let Brian Daboll develop him and see where that goes with Jaxson Dart. Obviously, he's going to sit, but now people are speculating that at some point this season, and when I say the season, I mean the season coming up, he will eventually have to play. So all the stuff that I'm hearing in terms of his weaknesses, hopefully Brian Daboll works with him on those. I mean, a lot of people just act like he has no weaknesses. They just talk about how good his arm is. They talk about the fact that he can scramble. But I'm seeing lowlights of him stepping into sacks, and I'm just like, I get it. One of the main controversies with Jaxson Dart is that a lot of people are upset that he's getting the comparison to Daniel Jones. And I think the comparisons to Daniel Jones is on the lower end of things. Like a worst case scenario. So when you see someone say Daniel Jones 2.0, I see a lot of Jaxson Dart fanboys getting upset because there's some truth to it. When you look at his weaknesses, you know, y'all don't want to look at his weaknesses. Y'all only want to look at the upside. But you know, a lot of people are saying that, yeah, he steps up into sacks. I mean, you've seen that with Daniel Jones. You've seen the check downs, and that's just kind of how that system was with Lane. So it's like, you know, this quarterback, I get that he can throw downfield, but there are some games where if you watch the film, you see him doing a lot of check downs. So, you know, he does have a Daniel Jones-esque vibe. A lot of guys were in denial. Oh, there's nothing similar with Daniel Jones and him. He's way better. And I agree, but he had way better talent around him. He is a better caliber quarterback. So I see where the 2.0 comes from in the Daniel Jones comparisons. But yeah, there are some weaknesses that he'll have to work on. And if you're a Jaxson Dart fanboy, temper, you know, your expectations, man. Just, you know, let him develop. A lot of people are talking about this, the QB1 of the future, and we're going to win a Super Bowl with him. Y'all are just getting a little bit too carried away. Let the man develop. Let's, you know, hopefully Russell Wilson can get us a few wins. But if Brian Daboll and Joe are here long term, you would like to think that this situation is going to work out with Jaxson Dart. I'm not going to root against my own quarterback, and, you know, obviously that'd be rooting against my own interest because I want the Giants to win. So when his time comes, man, I just hope that he's ready, because, you know, whatever he did in college, good or bad, sometimes might be irrelevant to what he can do at the NFL level, depending on how well Brian Daboll coaches him, depending on how well he adapts to the NFL versus the college level. So don't hate the pick, don't like the pick, definitely love the Carter pick, but I'm ready to see what happens in day 2 and 3. I know we got a 3rd round pick. Again, the reason why I'm not in love with the pick is just I never like the idea of giving up assets for a team like the Giants that's already bad. So, you know, you give up a 2nd and a 3rd rounder, which obviously we had 2 3rd round picks, and then you give up a pick from next year. So it's like, you know, like, again, he better be good. But I don't know. Y'all tell me what y'all think, man. Y'all love Jaxson Dart, because there's a lot of Jaxson Dart glazers out there, and I'm not a college football guy, so I'm not watching Ole Miss. I'm not. I will never be watching college football, even basketball. I'm not watching that shit in the regular season. I ain't got time for that. I'm old. I got kids. I barely can watch the NFL and the NBA. I'm not gonna sit down and watch the college level from start to finish on a Saturday or a Sunday for basketball. I ain't got time for that shit. It's literally professional football and basketball, and that's it. But yeah, tell me what y'all think.